I think this very familiar gospel story is one in which I think instinctively, almost automatically, we tend to insert ourselves there in the story. And we wonder, what would I have done in that situation? Would I have been like the Levite or the priest, passing the poor guy by, pretending I didn't see him? The priest probably had a hang-up because if he had tended to the man, he would have been ritually unclean and unable to serve in the temple. What would we have done? I think we all like to think we would have done just what the Good Samaritan did. But maybe it's not quite so simple. One of the points of the story here is that Jesus used the idea of a Samaritan, and the Samaritans and the Jews were enemies. The Samaritan was the last person you would think who would have mercy on a Jewish victim. And so the question for us isn't that would you have compassion on some poor guy who was beat up and a victim? Or would you do that for your worst enemy? It gets a little stickier, right? How difficult it is for us to overcome those struggles and difficulties we have with our enemies. How hard it is to forgive and to serve selflessly. And second, we like to think of ourselves as the Good Samaritan. We're good people. We've got good intentions. We try to help out. But I think another point in the story Jesus is trying to make is that we're not so much the Good Samaritan. He is. We're the victim lying on the side of the road. We're the ones who have been taken advantage of and beaten down by the world, by our own sin. And the only one that really cares for us is Jesus himself. He's the one that came, even though we considered God far off, maybe even some of us the enemy. And He came and paid the price to heal us. He took the burden on Himself. He took us to the inn and looked after us to heal our wounds. The early fathers of the church used that image of the inn as the church itself. That Jesus entrusts us to the care of the church and the innkeeper. And He pays the price for us, for our healing. Nobody else would do that. But nonetheless, Jesus offers this as the model for the scholar of the law to follow. He asks him first about what the law says. And this scribe gets it right. The greatest commandment is love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, all your strength, and all your mind. And then love your neighbor as yourself. The two great commandments of the law, right from the beginning of the Bible, from the book of Deuteronomy. This scholar of the law knows what the law is. He knows what the greatest commandment is. But he finds it difficult to consider somebody along the side of the road his neighbor. He wants to choose who his neighbors are. You see, I think all of us fall into that. I used to work in the Bronx. We used to take kids down to help out Mother Teresa's soup kitchen. And I remember one day the director of the soup kitchen was explaining to me as I saw all the homeless guys come in, and some were really tough cases. They had mental issues, they had alcohol issues, they had drug issues. And I said, boy, you really have a tough group. I mean, I didn't think that all the homeless were like this. He said, no, they're not all like this. This is the hardcore. And then he explained to me that the city runs a lot of soup kitchens as well. And there's other nonprofits that run other soup kitchens as well. But that they send away these people because they're the most difficult cases. And they send people out in the streets to look for certain kinds of homeless people. You see, there are all sorts of grants and money available for homeless shelters that'll take in homeless people with HIV. They get huge grants for those, but not for ordinary homeless or hardcore homeless guys. And the only ones that'll take them were Mother Teresa. You see, it's easy for us to be selective in our charity. Maybe we see a homeless person by the side of the road and we drop a few coins in his can. Maybe we drop off a few cans of beans in the food pantry. And those are good things to do. But they always can run the danger of just being sentimentality. Or worse, we can do it just to feel better about ourselves. I think the key is the opening. When Jesus asked the man, what does the law say? What's the greatest commandment? Love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, all your strength, and all your mind. You see, the only thing that really grounds our charity and makes it true Christian charity is when we start by putting God first. If we put people first, we can do it in a very selective way. We can do it for our own ego, or just to feel good about ourselves, or to feel superior to the next person. We always run the danger of that. But if, on the other hand, we ground our charity first in the real love of God, and our relationship with God is such that we love Him with all our heart, all our mind, all our soul, and all our strength, then our charity is going to flow from that love of God. Then, loving our neighbor as ourselves is going to be something that's deep in our heart. As the first reading said, it's not something so distant and far away. You've already got it in your heart through the gift of faith, hope, and love that you received in baptism. By the indwelling of the Trinity in your soul, you've got that predisposition to love God first. But as the writer of that book says, you only have to now put it into practice. And as Jesus says, go and do likewise. Love God with all your heart, all your soul, all your strength, and all your mind. That comes first. Then all the good works will flow from that. Put God first.